Hello, welcome to the Learn English Lab. Today's podcast is talking about New Year goals and dreams in English. Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're taking on a concept that is, it's just so universal, right? The desire for a fresh start. And we're going to give you the linguistic tools, the cultural context you need to talk about it with, total confidence.
We're focusing on something that really goes beyond just, ticking over a calendar page. It's the incredible power of the new year. In English-speaking cultures, it's this global catalyst for new beginnings, for hope, for real possibility. It feels like a societal reset.
And we have this fantastic comprehensive guide to help you navigate how we talk about our goals, our dreams. You know those conversations that pop up in mid-January where everyone asks, so what are you doing this year?
No, they're unavoidable.
Exactly. Our mission today is crystal clear. We are diving deep into the vocabulary, the conversation strategies, and the cultural practices around New Year aspirations. The goal here is for you to move beyond just simple translation and start making some truly meaningful connections.
And that's so essential. This is so much more than a language exercise. The social practice of setting and discussing goals, it serves these really profound, practical purposes in our culture. First, and maybe most importantly, it drives self-reflection and growth. The new year just acts as this natural, non-judgmental checkpoint. It encourages us to look inward and really consider, self-improvement.
It's like a forced annual review of yourself, but in a good way.
Yeah.
And secondly, and this is where the language really comes in, is the critical element of motivation and accountability.
Right.
Once you actually say your intentions out loud to your partner, to your friends, whatever, they stop being these vague thoughts just floating around that become tangible. They're like little contracts with yourself and with others. And that is a massive driver for action.
It's a powerful social pressure, which, if you manage it correctly, is a really positive thing.
Yeah.
And thirdly, and this is so critical, it's about connection. Sharing your dreams, even the small ones, it just unites people. It's how you find common ground, build these support networks. You might find a study partner or someone to go running with, and you spark inspiration in each other. Knowing how to talk about this stuff with nuance is just key to building deeper relationships.
Okay, let's unpack all of this. We have a lot of ground to cover. We're going to start by building your essential linguistic foundation. We'll spend some time on those key nouns and verbs that, they look similar, but they have very different meanings. Then we'll move into the practical stuff, the conversation structures for looking back at the past and framing the future. And finally, we'll get into conversation techniques, goal-setting strategies that actually stick, and the cultural insights to make sure you sound completely natural. So let's start building that toolkit, because English has an incredibly rich vocabulary when we talk about hope and change. And it's not just for the sake of it. These words are not interchangeable. They each carry a specific weight, a different level of commitment.
That's the key right there. The word you choose, the noun, signals what kind of growth you're ready for. And that opens the door to a much richer conversation. We see a whole bunch of these nouns used in New Year's conversations, but they really shouldn't be used interchangeably.
Right. We have the obvious ones, resolution, goal, dream. But then you have these more subtle ones, which are maybe more reflective of modern thinking. Intention, aim, ambition, vision, and priority. Let's spend a minute on the nuance here, because these get confused all the time.
A great place to start is the difference between a goal and an intention. This is vital. A goal is almost always concrete, it's measurable, often time-bound. It's about a specific achievement. For example, my goal is to run a marathon, or my goal is to save $10,000. It's got a finish line.
You either do it or you don't.
Exactly.
But an intention, that's different. It's more behavioral, right?
Yeah.
It's about your mindset. It describes how you plan to be, the quality of your effort, not so much the final result. So I could say my intention is to practice mindfulness daily. The process itself is the point.
That's a perfect example. Success is defined by your consistency, not by winning something. Or think about the contrast between ambition and vision. And ambition is usually a specific, sometimes fierce desire for success or status. It's focused on the self. My ambition is to become CEO.
Right, very focused. A vision, on the other hand, is so much broader. It's the whole mental picture of your desired future. It's often long-term. It could even be altruistic. It might include your career, but also your family, your community. It's holistic.
And then you have a word like priority, which is a really functional word. It focuses the conversation. If you say, my health is my top priority this year, you're immediately telling the listener that all your other goals are going to be viewed through that lens. It manages expectations.
And we have to talk about resolution.
Oh, yes, the classic. Historically, it meant a firm, formal decision, almost moral. I resolved to stop smoking. But in modern, casual English, well, resolution has kind of become a bit of a joke.
It almost implies you're going to fail, doesn't it?
It does. There's a humorous, self-deprecating side to it now. So, a key takeaway for you.
Yeah.
If you want to sound really serious about something, probably use goal or intention instead.
That's such a great tip. Okay, so once we have the right noun, we need the action verbs to show we're actually doing something. Let's break these down into, the 3 phases of any project.
Good way to think about it. Initiation, process, and completion. For initiation, the most common is to set a goal. I set a goal to read 50 books this year. It's clear, it's decisive.
And for something that feels bigger, like a life change, we might use to start, to launch, or my personal favorite, to embark on. I love embark on. It sounds like a grand journey, You wouldn't embark on cleaning your desk.
No, you wouldn't, but you would embark on a journey to become a better public speaker.
Yeah.
It signals seriousness and a long-term commitment.
Okay, then there's the process phase. This is the daily work.
And this is where the language of commitment really lives. Here you use to work towards, I'm working towards becoming a better listener. It emphasizes that ongoing effort, the daily grind, not just the final trophy.
And finally, completion, the celebration. But even here, the verbs have their own flavor. You have to achieve, to accomplish, to reach, to fulfill, to realize.
And they apply differently. Achieve and reach are great for quantifiable goals. I achieved my sales target. But fulfill and realize, they're often for deeper, more personal aspirations. You fulfill a promise to yourself. You realize a lifelong dream of opening a bakery.
Right. You wouldn't say you fulfilled your dream of cleaning the garage. It would sound a bit dramatic.
A little over the top, yes. Understanding that distinction just makes your language so much more potent.
Definitely. And to make any goal compelling, we have to move past vague ideas like, I want to be better. This is where descriptive language adjectives and adverbs makes all the difference.
It's what turns a hope into an actual plan. Adjectives like achievable, realistic, specific, measurable, challenging, and ambitious. You'll hear these all the time in discussions about goal setting.
And the adjective you choose sets the expectation for the listener. If I say, I have an ambitious goal to learn Mandarin, that tells you, I know this is going to be hard, but I'm ready for it. If I called it realistic, I'm signaling that maybe I already have some foundation.
Exactly. And the adverbs tell us how you're going to do it. Are you going to pursue your goals? Gradually. Consistently. Hopefully. Or, and this is a big one, intentionally, meaning every action has a purpose behind it.
And of course, we need some idioms. You can't have an authentic English conversation without a few colorful phrases that really capture the spirit of a fresh start.
These absolutely cement your fluency. A classic one is turn over a new leaf. This is for when you're making a significant positive change, often breaking a bad habit.
Like, he decided to turn over a new leaf and start eating healthy. It signals a conscious break from the past. A similar one is start with a clean slate. This one feels more about psychological freedom, letting go of past mistakes.
Then you have the really aspirational ones. Shoot for the stars. It's just wonderfully evocative, isn't it? It means to aim incredibly high, dream big without limits.
And the one you hear everywhere around New Year's. Out with the old, in with the new. It's the celebratory phrase for embracing change, whether it's decluttering your house or adopting a new mindset.
And finally, the simple but powerful bills. Make a fresh start. It conveys that renewed energy after a pause or a failure. Mastering these shows you don't just know the words, you understand the cultural feeling of hope that comes with a new year. So we've built the vocabulary. Now, how do we apply it? What's fascinating is that in English-speaking cultures, talking about your goals for the new year rarely starts with just looking forward. It almost always starts with reflection.
Wait, really? So you look backwards first. Why is that so important?
Because it provides context and, most importantly, authenticity. When you share a goal, people want to know the why. By first sharing what you learned or what you struggled with last year, you ground your goal in real experience. It shows you've done the introspective work.
That makes so much sense. It's the difference between saying, I want to save money, and saying, last year was tough financially, and I realize I need a safety net, so this year my goal is to save money. The second one creates an immediate connection.
Precisely. So you need some language prompts to start that reflection gracefully. You could start with gratitude, which sets a positive tone. Looking back on the past year I'm grateful for.
Or you could focus on learning, which frames the past as growth, not failure. One thing I learned in the past year is, and a great one for summing up is, if I had to sum up this year in one word, it would be.
And you see how that naturally leads into the goal. For example, Looking back, I realized I spent way too much time on my phone and not enough quality time with family. So my intention this year is to have screen-free evenings. The reflection provides the reason for the intention.
Okay, so once we have that reflective foundation, we need some clear sentence patterns to actually state the goal. Clarity here is so important for a language learner.
Absolutely. If it's a concrete goal, be direct. My goal for this year is to read 1 book a month. It's assertive, no ambiguity.
For more general hopes, we can soften it a bit. I hope to. Or, I'd like to learn to play guitar. That acknowledges it's a desire. And for the end result of a lot of work, we can use the verb achieve. One thing I want to achieve is a better work-life balance.
And a quick tip here. Try to avoid overusing I want. It can sound a little bit simplistic. Elevate your language with phrases like I intend to or I'm focused on. It immediately sounds more committed.
That's a great point. But stating the goal is only half of it. To really connect, you have to explain the why. Giving reasons is what turns a boring list item into a real conversation.
It's the justification. The most direct way is using because I want to. I want to get healthier because I hope to have more energy for my family. The goal isn't just for you. It's tied to a value that people can relate to.
Or you can use so that I can, which is about enabling a future opportunity. I'm learning Spanish so that I can travel confidently. The language is a tool for a bigger dream.
And the most personal one is linking it to your core values. It's important to me because, for instance, improving my public speaking is important to me because I want to feel confident sharing my ideas at work. That connects the goal to your professional growth.
And remember, not every goal has to be this huge, life-changing thing. English conversations really welcome humility. It's totally fine to talk about small, specific improvements.
Oh, absolutely. Sharing a modest goal like, I just want to wake up 15 minutes earlier to have some quiet time shows great self-awareness. Or, my goal is to stop procrastinating by organizing my desk every evening. Sometimes those small habits are the hardest to build.
And when you share those smaller goals, it's good to use language that shows you're serious about them. You can say things like, I'm committed to making this a habit, or this time I really want to follow through.
You can even show you have a plan. I plan to track my progress each month in a journal. That tells the listener you have a system, and you're not just relying on willpower, which, as we know, doesn't always last.
What about those really big, distant dreams, the ones that might take years? How do we talk about those without sounding unrealistic?
You frame them as possibilities. It's all about managing expectations. You can say, I'd love to write a novel someday, or it would be amazing to run my own company. Using words like love and amazing keeps the tone hopeful while acknowledging the ambition is long-term. It adds a really nice texture to the conversation.
Okay, so we've built the language, we've framed our intentions. Now let's talk about moving those thoughts out into the world. Turning goals into conversations is so important for support and accountability, but how you start that conversation is key.
It really is. Sharing your goal makes it real. It helps you find encouragement, and critically, it creates that external accountability. If your friends know you're trying to learn guitar, they're going to ask you how it's going. That little nudge can make all the difference.
So let's get into some specific conversation starters for different settings. If you're at a casual gathering, like a party, you want to keep it light.
You could start with something relatable and a bit funny. Do you make New Year's resolutions? Or do you find they fall apart by February, like mine always do? It invites a shared experience. Or you could ask, what are you looking forward to most this year? That's a nice open question.
I like that one. Now, what about a more formal place, like a professional or study setting? The focus shifts to skills and projects.
Right. You could use a phrase that invites a group discussion, like, how does everyone feel about setting some team goals for this quarter? Or you could focus on personal development within that context. What's one skill you're hoping to develop this year?
And for our digital lives, in online groups or with pen pals, you can be a bit more direct and community-focused.
For sure. You could post something like, I'm focusing on self-improvement this year. Anyone else making resolutions, let's support each other. The language is all about being inviting and collaborative.
Now, this is a part where I think a lot of learners might struggle. How do you respond when someone shares their goal with you? Your response is so important.
It's vital. Supportive language builds trust. Please don't just nod and say, good.
So what are some better options?
Simple. Genuine affirmations work wonders. That's a great goal. Good luck with that. If it's something ambitious, show your admiration.
Yeah.
Wow, that's really inspiring.
And if it sounds difficult,
Acknowledge the effort involved. That sounds challenging, but so rewarding. I really admire that.
Mm-hmm.
And the ultimate supportive phrase is offering help. Let me know if there's anything I can do to help you stay on track. That's the language of real connection.
Okay, beyond just talking about goals, there are these popular techniques for setting them, and they have their own language. Let's dive into 3: SMART goals, vision boards, and the one-word intention.
Right, starting with SMART goals. This is a huge one, especially in professional settings, but it's bled into personal development too. It's an acronym: specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound.
So it's a framework for taking a vague idea and making it concrete. The language here is all about specificity.
Exactly. So instead of "I want to get fit," the SMART goal is "I will go to the gym 3 times a week for the next 3 months." You know exactly what success looks like.
Or instead of "I should eat healthier," it's "I will replace my daily sandwich with a salad 4 days a week until June." The language becomes a precise plan.
Then you have vision boards. These are very popular, especially in the US. They're visual tools, collages of images and quotes that represent your dreams.
So the language around them is about visualization. You might say, "I spent the weekend making my vision board," and then you explain the why. Seeing my dreams visually like that really helps me stay motivated.
And a newer but very popular one is the one-word intention. Instead of a list of resolutions, you choose a single word to be your theme for the year. Words like growth, courage, balance.
I really like this one. It feels less about pressure and more about a mindset. So you would just say, my word for this year is resilience.
Exactly. Every time I face a challenge, that word is going to be my guide.
Yeah.
It's a really succinct and powerful way to frame your approach to the year ahead. Now that we have the mechanics, let's talk substance. What are the most common goals you're likely to hear? We can break them down into a few key categories, and recognizing the phrases for each will help you sound so natural.
Let's start with the biggest one, health and wellness. This is probably number one everywhere, right?
Absolutely. The language here is often about habit changes. You'll hear general statements like, "I want to eat healthier," but also more specific ones focused on restriction. "I need to cut down on sugar," or "I'm doing dry January," which means giving up alcohol for the month.
Next up, learning and growth. This is all about skills and knowledge.
You'll hear phrases like, "I plan to take an online course in coding," or the classic, "I'm going to try to read more books this year." It's all about skill acquisition.
The third category, career and finances. These goals often come up in more professional settings, and the language is usually pretty assertive.
Right. You'll hear things like, "I'd like to get a promotion this year." Or on the finance side, "My main goal is to save more money and build an emergency fund."
Then there's relationships. This one feels more about intention than concrete goals.
It is. The language is often about quality. "I hope to spend more quality time with my family." Or about emotional skills, "I want to work on being a better listener."
And finally, personal habits and hobbies, the smaller daily life improvements.
These are practical and tangible. "I want to finally declutter my house 1 room at a time." Or, "This year, I'm going to learn how to cook a few really good meals." Recognizing these categories helps you anticipate where a conversation might go.
Okay, now for the really nuanced part. Handling challenges. It's so common and actually expected to talk about setbacks. It shows you're human.
It makes you relatable. So you need the language to acknowledge difficulty without sounding like you've given up. You could say, "I started strong, but I lost motivation after a few weeks." That's an honest admission.
Or if you've fallen off but want to get back on, you could say, "I missed a couple of days, but I'm getting back on track this week." That phrase, getting back on track, is so common and so powerful.
It's also important to have language to celebrate imperfect progress. It's not all or nothing. You can say, "I might not have reached my big goal, but I made good progress compared to last year."
And this is key for encouraging other people too. Simple phrases like, "Every step counts," or "Progress is more important than perfection." And my favorite, "It's okay to start over. What matters is not giving up."
So true.
So how do we take these conversations and make them really deep? Move them beyond just small talk.
The most powerful way is to tell a story. Don't just state the goal. Share the emotional why. Saying, "I want to run a marathon because my dad always wanted to but never could," is so much more compelling than just, "I want to run a marathon."
It's about being vulnerable, isn't it? Which includes acknowledging your fears.
Yes. Being honest, like, "Honestly, I'm nervous about starting this new project, but I'm excited too." That mix of emotions is so relatable.
And once you build that trust, you can invite others in. Create a shared experience. Ask someone, "Do you want to join me in this challenge?"
Yep.
Or would you be my accountability partner? That's how you really build a bond.
Definitely.
Now, let's talk about the cultural side of this. The pressure and the tone around New Year's goals change depending on where you are in the English-speaking world.
This is a great point. In the UK and Ireland, for example, resolutions are common, but they're often framed with a bit of humor or cynicism. It's very common to be self-deprecating about it.
So you might hear someone say something like, my resolution is to join a gym, which I'll probably go to twice. The humor kind of lowers the stakes.
It does. Whereas in the US, there's a much bigger focus on public goal setting. You see more social media announcements, more vision boards. The culture tends to reward that visible, high motivation approach. The goal is part of your identity.
And what about places like Australia, Canada, or New Zealand?
There, the focus tends to be more on informal, practical lifestyle goals.
Yeah.
Connecting with nature, enjoying life. There's generally less of that intense public pressure you see in the States. It's more about getting outside more than dominating the year.
So the key takeaway is that the conversation is flexible. You can be ambitious and motivational, or you can be humorous and self-reflective. Both are fine, but knowing the cultural context helps you pick the right tone. We've covered setting goals, talking about them, the cultural differences, but the real test, the real challenge is persistence. How do we keep the momentum going past January?
Persistence is all about the system, not just motivation. And we can break that system down into a few key strategies, each with its own vocabulary. First up is tracking. You need language to explain how you measure your progress.
So you need to talk about your tools, like I'm keeping a journal to monitor my habits, or more commonly now, I use a habit tracking app on my phone to log my workouts. Mentioning a specific tool just adds so much credibility to your plan.
The second strategy is accountability. This means bringing someone else into your process in a structured way.
And the key phrase here is establishing a check-in. My friend and I have a quick check-in call every Friday morning about our goals. That scheduled check-in is the structure. You can even say, she holds me accountable.
Third is celebration. It's so easy to just focus on the big finish line, but celebrating small wins is crucial for staying motivated.
So the language here is about rewards. I treat myself to something small, like a new book when I hit a milestone, and also just acknowledging the effort. I try to remember that every week I stick with it is a win in itself.
And finally, we have to revisit the language of adjustment. Reframe and revise. Setbacks are not a reason to quit. They are learning opportunities. Rigid goals break. Flexible ones adapt.
So we need language that shifts the perspective. Instead of seeing this as a failure, I'm seeing it as a chance to learn what went wrong, and critically, giving yourself permission to change. It's okay to adjust my goals. My original timeline was just too ambitious.
This leads right into the practice of revisit and revise. Schedule time to reflect. At the end of each month, I look at what's working and what isn't. And then the action. If something isn't working, I'm not afraid to change the goal or my method.
Now, for our listeners who are specifically focused on learning English, this whole process is a fantastic integrated way to improve your language skills.
It's perfect for it. You can actively use goal setting as a language practice tool. Start by reading articles and blogs in English about productivity or health. Pay attention to how native speakers phrase things.
You could also watch videos or listen to podcasts on the topic. Listen for the subtle differences in how people talk about their dreams versus their plans.
An even more active way is to join an online challenge or accountability group where people share their progress in English. You get to use all this vocabulary in a real, functional context.
And even if you're not ready to share publicly, just writing your own goals down in a journal in English is incredible practice. It helps you internalize all these phrases until they just become second nature.
The core message here as we wrap this up is that talking about your dreams in English is an act of hope. It's a way to clarify your own vision, to bond with other people, and to set a real path for growth.
So as you go into this new year, remember to be honest about your struggles, curious about new ideas, and compassionate with yourself and others. Whether your dreams are big or small, sharing them with confidence is the first step toward making them happen.
And here's a final thought to leave you with, building on that idea of revision. Success isn't about perfectly achieving a rigid plan you set on January 1st. True, sustainable success is about consistently checking in with yourself, listening to what life is teaching you, and having the courage to revise your path to make sure it still serves what's most important to you. Real persistence, when you look at it closely, it's actually just flexibility in action.
Thank you so much for joining us for this deep dive into aspiration and the language of new beginnings. We really hope this has given you everything you need to confidently discuss your goals this year. Hello, welcome to the Learn English Lab. Today's podcast is talking about New Year goals and dreams in English. End of this episode must mention like, share, and subscribe to this YouTube channel.